Aloha, I'm Kauaʻi Miller. The Obon or Bond Festival is a traditional Japanese Buddhist celebration that honors and remembers those who have passed. In Hawaii, it's a part of our cultural tapestry. Now, besides music and dancing, there is also food. And here in Hanapēpē, the Kauaʻi Soto Zen Temple is the original home of a very popular sandwich.
Yeah, kala'i. It's out of this world.
Oh.
On Kauaʻi, a flying saucer is the most popular festival food item. And last year we sold over 4,000 of them. Aloha, my name is Gerald Hirata. I'm the president of the Kauaʻi Soto Zen Temple. So I'd like to welcome you all to Kauaʻi. But I want to say the west side of Kauaʻi, Hanapēpē. Basically, a flying saucer is a festival food item. How it originated is way back in the mid-50s. From the research that I've done, there was a bunch of Iliʻili school people camping in Kokeʻe. So they were sitting around the fire, they were making this kind of discussion, and they said, yeah, what would that hamburger be like if you had to grill it over the campfire? And that's how it got started. The flying saucer lady is Mrs. Sueko Tanigawa, who was the cafeteria manager of Iliʻili School. If you speak to anyone who went to Iliʻili Elementary School, they will rave about the cafeteria food. I mean, it was the best food, and you must remember that many of us came from plantation homes and backgrounds, and when we went to Iliʻili School, we had a good meal, and she saw to it that we did because she was actually part of and grew up in a plantation community, and she talked about things with Mrs. Sakiko Okihara, who was the cafeteria manager of Waimea High School. So those two were probably collaborating and chatting, and what should this flying saucer sort of be like? What they decided to do was that this whole idea, getting the hamburger, they figured that out, the taste, what you need to put in it, and how do you need to put it into the pie iron to grill it. So it was sort of like a sloppy joe kind of dish that you do, but not really sloppy joe. The taste is quite different. They eventually came up with the name flying saucer because of the shape. And you will see that the pie irons are really shaped like a flying saucer.
Today we're going to show you how we make our flying saucers for our obon dance. First they put the butter on it, and it's only on one side. And pre-softened butter is actually the best, so that we could spread it without breaking the bread up.
I think at that time, the women were willing to share their recipe. I don't think it was any big secret or so. If you would come to a bon dance on the west side of Kauaʻi, all the flying saucers on all of the temples would taste alike. You know, and maybe one year I was at Kapa'a and I tasted the flying saucer and I said, I don't know, this doesn't taste like the ones on the west side. So there are some variations.
The bread is put together with the butter sides like this as opposed on the outside. Then Blanche is going to come over and she's going to put a scoop of the meat in the middle with a little tiny slice of cheese. Then it goes over to here on top of the flying saucer holder, and the butter side goes outside.
But the interesting thing about the recipe that was handed down from Mrs. Tanigawa was that when we had a younger cook who was in charge of our temple's kitchen, she said, I cannot do flying saucers in small batches because the size of the recipe was for about 20 to 30 pounds of ground beef. And then the measurements for the salt, the sugar, the ketchup was in bowls. And it was, not really a bowl, but in Japanese you have the chawang, the rice, the rice bowl that you eat your rice. So the recipe was in chawangs, 4 chawangs of salt or pepper and this way. So she could never just do a family recipe. She could only do large recipes for our festivals. But eventually, some people like the Sakiko Okihara, their daughters or their families or relations, would figure out a home recipe, yeah? And it went out in the cookbooks into the community. But the main recipe, I haven't seen the original, but we sort of keep it, yeah, to ourselves.
And then Roy will take it and he'll cut the edges out to make it the saucer shape. Take off all the crust. And then it goes on the burner. So it's like about 30 seconds on one side, and you'll see it. So we heat it up and start getting it going in its process, and then turn it for another 30 seconds, and that starts the bread heating up and the ingredients inside. And then after that, it'll be like 1.5 minutes, but you gotta keep turning it so it doesn't get burnt.
You really have to have people skilled in doing what you need to do to make the flying saucers, because it's a very labor-intensive food item to prepare.
Sometimes the top will stick to it, very rarely, but that's why the timing of this is important to go through and pay attention. So you can see that there's 2 circles, the inner circles. When you see all the circles on your flying saucer, it's ready. They're very fragile, but they are very crispy.
Aloha everyone, I'm Dana Lagmai, born and raised in Hanapēpē since 1944. And so ever since I've lived there, I can remember eating flying saucers and malasadas at the same event. Usually here at the Bon Dance or at some kind of church carnival. If you like pancake, it's got that pancake texture. And if you like spaghetti or lasagna, it's got that taste in it. And of course, it's nice and soft. And cheese, right? You just kind of want to bite into it like when you bite a baby. You just want to keep biting it. That's what it's like.
We came over just to eat your flying saucers because we did it once several years ago. And we'll always remember how fascinating it was. The taste, the ambiance, Kauaʻi people. So here we are.
Born here on Kauaʻi, 5th generation here on the southwest side of Kauaʻi. Every year we go Bon Dance and get flying saucer every time. So it's like every year I look forward to it and know exactly what we're gonna have for dinner. It's one of those things where I think if you're older and you just bought it from a store, maybe it wouldn't mean as much, but like it's just the taste of family and growing up here and the taste of summer, the Bon Dance traveling around and being near my grandma's house and everything that, Bon Dance symbolizes to us as a community.
The thing about a small island like this with very, very tight communities, in Hawaii, we've really held on to those historical, cultural, and folk religious traditions. We don't realize that even what we do on our daily lives actually is important, like having our festivals, ensuring that we serve our guests who come to the festival good food, and taking pride in that. There's something about putting that heart and that soul into what you do makes it extraordinary. So this ordinary little thing is really quite extraordinary when you think about the impact it has on the community, what it has done, and just this kind of fame that kind of sets Kauaʻi apart from the other islands. There's something special about the west side community of Kauaʻi that allows that to happen.
Mahalo for joining us. It's because of the generosity of viewers like you that we get to share these local stories. If you'd like to support our mission of continuous learning, please visit pbshawaii.org and click the donate button. For Homies Here, I'm Kauaʻi Miller. Ahui ho.